Okay, we've got a speed distance time question. It's a car journey from Manchester to Gretna Green. The first part of the journey is at an average of 50 miles an hour for 3 hours, and the second half of the journey is 150 miles at an average of 30 miles an hour. And this chump Sean claims that his average speed is 40 miles an hour for the journey. Is he correct? Okay, it turns out he's not correct, and I'll show you why. So, this is a speed distance time question broken into two halves, and it seems like a difficult question, these sorts of questions. I guarantee you, if you do it the way I'm going to show you now, it's easy. I promise you. You just follow a certain steps and the answer falls out at the end. I guarantee it. Okay, so this is how you do it. The overall journey is broken into two parts, okay? So, draw the journey like this, okay? Split into two parts. We've got Manchester here, okay, and Gretna Green here. Right? Next, draw in each section all the information you've been given. The speed, the distance and the time. So for the first section, it's 50 miles an hour. So write S for speed is 50 miles an hour, mph. Okay? The time is 3 hours. So write T equals 3 hours. Okay? Now speed, distance and time, we're missing distance. So just write D equals question mark. Same for this second section. Distance is 150 miles. Okay. Speed is 30 miles an hour. Okay, so distance, speed, we haven't been told the time. Okay, so write it out like that. Now, using the formula, speed is distance over time, we're going to work out the distance for the first first section, and the time for the second section. Okay? So, we need distance. So rearrange this formula, multiply both sides by t to get d equals st. Distance is speed times time. And time, from here, divide both sides by s, and we get time is distance over speed. Okay? So, let's work out distance here. The distance is speed times time, d is st. Speed is 50, time is 3. So the distance is 150 miles. Okay? Same thing here. Time is distance over speed, which is, distance is 150, and the speed is 30. Okay? So the time is 3 into 15 is 5 hours. Okay, so that's how you do it. Break it down into two sections and work out using speed is distance over time the third speed, distance or time that they didn't give you. Okay, so now we know speed, distance and time for both of the sections. Now what you do is look at the overall journey. Okay, and we're going to write down speed, distance and time for the total journey from Manchester to Gretna Green. Okay, so total. Okay, right. Do distance and time and then speed first. So total distance is whatever that distance is plus that distance, right? Which is 150 miles here, and it's also 150 miles for the second bit. So 150 plus 150, so 300 miles. We've got total distance. the total time is whatever that time is plus that time. So that's 3 hours plus time is 5 hours. Okay, so we've got total time of 8 hours. Right, now the speed. There's two main ways you can make a mistake here, because we're talking about the total speed or the average speed of the total journey. This is average speed from here to here. The first way you can make a mistake is just by adding these two speeds together. We've added the distances, and that's correct, it makes sense. We've added the times, that makes sense. But adding the speeds does not make sense. If you're travelling at an average of 50 here and an average of 30 there, you're not travelling at an average of 80 miles an hour overall. Okay, so you don't add them. You also don't just take the average of the two. The average, or the midpoint of 50 and 30 is 40 miles an hour. But that's not the average speed of the whole journey. And the reason is, look at the times for the two sections. The reason the average speed isn't 40 is that you're travelling at 50 miles an hour for 3 hours, but look, you're travelling at 30 miles an hour for 5 hours. You're travelling at the slower speed for longer than you're travelling at the faster speed. And that's why the average speed will be closer to 30 than it will be to 50. So to work out the average speed, you use these two values, the total distance and the total time. Okay, in fact I'll write that in. The average speed is total distance over total time. Okay? And if you like, that's total distance and total time. So, average speed, total distance, 300. Total time, 8. Okay, so 300 divided by 8. Divide top and bottom by 2, that's the same as 150 over 4, which again divide top and bottom by 2 is 75 over 2, which is 37.5 miles an hour. There you go. As promised, the average speed for the total journey is closer to the speed at which you were travelling for longer than the speed at which you were travelling for less time. The midpoint between 30 miles an hour and 50 miles an hour is 40 miles an hour, but that's not the average because, just to reiterate, it's closer to 30 than it is to 50 because you're travelling at 30 miles an hour for longer than you're travelling at 50 miles an hour. That's how you do these apparently difficult speed, distance, time questions. Break them up into two halves. Treat the first section by itself, speed, distance, time. Treat the second section by itself, speed, distance, time. Then look at the overall journey. Write down total distance, then total time, and then work out the average speed is total distance divided by total time. Follow those steps and the average speed for the whole journey will fall out and you don't really even have to think.